Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. We have a lot to get to this morning as farmers start the year with growing concerns. Inflation now sitting at the highest rate since 1982. Nitrogen costs 80% higher than last year, and ethanol stocks are at a 47-week high due to lower demand for gas. Amid all of this, USDA releasing its final numbers on last year's crop and what the future could hold for this year's. Let's begin by putting a period on the end of 2021. USDA leaving the corn yield unchanged at a record high 177 bushels per acre. That's 5.6 bushels higher than 2020, but calling for an increase in harvested acres. Iowa once again the top yielding state at 205 bushels an acre, beating out Illinois. USDA raised yield for soybeans to 51.4 bushels per acre. That's up less than a bushel from 2020. The crop also a record large, eclipsing the previous high back in 2018, even with those lowered harvested acres. Illinois winning when it came to yields at 64 bushels an acre, beating out Nebraska by 1 bushel. Now, comparing these numbers to our 2021 Pro Farmer Crop Tour numbers that we released back on August 20th, our experts, well, they matched USDA with corn and guessed just slightly below when it came to soybeans.
All of this takes place in a backdrop of inflation. As we ahead of the USDA report, we got a CPI number out showing the highest inflation in the last 40 years. We have a Fed that's moving decidedly hawkish. The market is assuming that the Fed is going to get aggressive in treating that inflation.
Checking what's left in the bin now. Corn and soybean stocks coming in above the trade guess. Corn pegged at 1.5 billion bushels on exports being lowered 75 million bushels. Corn used for ethanol is raised 75 million bushels, while soybeans 350 million bushels on lower production, crush, exports, and stocks. And wheat stocks are raised 30 million bushels to 628 million. They are still down 26% from last year and the lowest since 2013. USDA saying wheat sales and shipments continue to be sluggish, with wheat remaining uncompetitive in several markets. And our first full picture of the winter wheat crop in the field right now. USDA reporting planted acres are up 2% from last year, totaling more than 34 million acres. That number higher than the trade guess. Soft red winter wheat seeing some gains with more than 7 million acres planted, up 6% from 2021.
Probably the closest to really shocking the trade is really the soft red winter wheat acreage, 7.07 million acres, coming in really about 500,000 higher than what was expected. As we had surveyed our customers, they said, oh, we're going to be down in acreage, and then to see it go up, and I think a lot of other people maybe weren't down as much as us, but they didn't expect that kind of an increase overall on the acreage. So that has significant implications.
One thing the markets have been watching very closely, the weather in South America, and USDA did make a cut in production, which helped push the soybean market on Wednesday back into positive territory. Looking at soybeans, it lowered production for Brazil, Argentina, and Paraguay. Brazil down 5 million tons from December due to dry conditions in the southern part of that country. Argentina's reduced 3 million tons, and Paraguay lowered 1.5 million tons.
And I think it's important for folks to remember that we obviously acknowledge weather as it's been to date, but we assume normal weather going forward. I think when you look at these historic patterns, that's the way we operate, and it's a good way for us to operate.
And we have much more on all of these numbers and complete analysis online. Make sure to head over to agweb.com for the very latest. We also have more posted on Twitter and Facebook.